Patreon.com/the Walk Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there.
If you're watching this right now and you haven't hit the like button, Billy, get on it. Bug your brother. Tell him to do the same.
The new bullpen arrangements at the Rogers Center, because this is like we had can we even call it an incident?
So for those of you who missed it, the very first game, there was some excitement around the Rays bullpen. Two things happened. Number one,
Tigers bullpen, but yes.
Yes, Tigers bullpen. Now, number one, there was talk of a beer being thrown in there. This is not what happened. The whole thing was an accident. It's why nobody was thrown out of it. Somebody had their beer along the edge of the bullpen. Somebody behind them spilled beer down their back. They stood up and knocked it into the bullpen.
Hilarity ensues, right? A very Chevy Chase
hilarity
moment.
ensues, exactly. And as soon as security came down to talk to the guy, he shows him the back of his jacket all covered in beer and was like, "I'm so sorry." And they were like, "Okay." The other incident was written about in Jay's journal.
Hold on. So This is a teachable moment. If you're going to throw a beer at someone, buy two and pour one on yourself first, right?
Very adequately said.
All right. So let's get to the bigger incident that is.
The bigger incident, if it's or non-incident, I guess, depending on how you view this. But there was a fan who wound up getting in the face of what was his name? Steve, one of the Tigers relievers, anyways. And by getting in his face, he sort of kind of leaned over the railing, yelled something at him, and then it was made a big deal.
It was pretty aggressive yelling and pointing. It was great to see. I loved it.
Yes, it was aggressive. There was an article written about it in Jay's journal talking about how embarrassing it was, what a black eye to the Toronto fan base it is. Don't be like this guy. And I am curious what everyone's thoughts on this is, because Mark Shapiro obviously feels this is just fine. He stated it very clearly when talking about these raised bullpens and the idea of making it an uncomfortable place to play for opposing teams. He mentioned the fan interaction that will be on display, with there being no real barrier between the fan base and that bullpen, the opposing bullpen. And you saw it firsthand there. Now, the guy wasn't kicked out. He didn't swear. There were kids around and he kept it clean. He probably was a little aggressive with his hand gestures, if that's something you really wish to,
He didn't swat at him. There was
no.
Shreve was never in danger. Like, it was aggressive pointing and probably saying you suck or you're going to choke or something like that. I mean, kudos to Shreve for not losing his cool and just ignoring it. That's absolutely what you got to do. Yeah, I mean, this got brought up on the home season opener at home. It kind of put me back when I was watching Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall talk about these new bullpen arrangements here and all the new features of the renovations. And Jamie Campbell was like saying during the broadcast, like, remember, like, we should all behave. Remember, we're Canadians after all. Let's be polite. And it was off-putting to me. I was like, what? That's not like, we're also hockey fans here. Like, we should be. Again, and the way like Shapiro and Atkins have talked about the renovations, like this is the whole point of putting the bullpens where they are, right? Is for that level of interaction. If we wanted to just eliminate heckling, we would put a roof over the bullpen. Like,
I mean, if you
I have
look at
zero issue with what happened. I loved it. I want to see absolutely more of it.
And my stance on heckling is that if it's funny, it's fine.
Yes.
Literally. If you get a laugh, boom, it's good. Like last night at the end of the game, Alex Lang came in to pitch for the Tigers, and he was wearing his little turtleneck, right? His neck was cold. Oh, it was so chilly in Toronto. He needs his little turtleneck. And the fan base was so funny, man. While he was warming up, they were constantly yelling about the turtleneck, right? You know? And then when he came out onto the mound, it caught on so much that people were literally chanting turtleneck, turtleneck. This is the sort of heckling you gotta love, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm after. And do some research. Look into it. Put some effort in, right? Look up the guy's worst ERA in what year he did it, right? Remind him of the year. Be like, hopefully you don't get in the same mental space as you did when you were pitching to a 6 ERA back in 2018 with the Mariners, right? Don't think about that. Don't think about that.
Deep dive his Facebook, find that high school crush that never went out with him, and start chanting, Rebecca, Rebecca. Let's do this. Yeah, I mean, don't throw beers, don't throw batteries. Let's keep it clean. But yeah, I want to see more of this. I want all of those bullpens super uncomfortable. Not like scared for their life or their personal safety, but that's what the security and the police officers are there for. Like, I don't know. There was a officer standing right there in the bullpen. He clearly couldn't have been so aggressive that there was a concern for safety, or else somebody would have stepped in. Like, he wasn't, I don't know. Again, if they wanted to eliminate that, you'd have a higher wall around the bullpen.
Yeah.
Like,
So
it's a 3 foot, 4 foot little plexiglass thing. Like, it's designed for those moments. It's designed for that.
Exactly.
So, especially for anybody who's like wants to pick on this guy who was doing it, like, that's not on him. That's by designing it that way, it's an invitation for fans to do that. All off season, that's been the public narrative, is that, yeah, fans are going to get in the faces. Fans are going to be right on top of this bullpen. Like, what else can you expect? Again, unless he said something like that crossed a line, and whatever, draw that line in the sand wherever it means for you. But for me, pointing and yelling and whatever, like, that's fine. Bring it on.
I couldn't agree more. So I tweeted about this yesterday, and basically I just said, I love the new bullpen setup at Rogers. Let's make Toronto an incredibly uncomfortable place to play ball. And remember, heckling isn't embarrassing unless it's not funny. Those are the rules. And you know, a lot of people agreed. A lot of people tweeted out, and I love the interaction on Twitter. It's why it's my favorite social media platform. But I did get a response that said, the mouthpiece who accosted Shreve should be ejected. This kind of assault is totally offensive, which is, in my opinion, incredibly offensive to people who were actually accosted or assaulted in their life. Like, my goodness, can we reel it the freak in a little bit here? Like, I'm not saying go out and heckle and be a complete piece of shit. All right? Like, don't throw stuff. Don't assault anyone. If there's kids around, use your head.
Swear. Yeah.
You know, be creative. But there is no doubt it was set up to do just this. Yeah. Like you said, man, this was designed this way. This wasn't like Rogers being like, oh, whoopsie, we didn't see this coming. Oh my, you know?
Yeah. No, couldn't agree more. Tip of the cap to that fellow who was heckling. I want to see more of it. Again, I think that was the perfect amount. The only way that would be better is if there was more people standing with that guy also doing it.
Yes.
Right? We don't need any objects being thrown. We don't need any more aggressive language, but give me a whole wall of people pointing and yelling and making them feel uncomfortable as they're entering the game. Give me more of that. I want it.
Drop your comments. Would love to hear what you folks think. I already know this is going to be a topic on Mailbag. So what do you think about heckling the new bullpens at Rogers Center? Where is your line? Are we being ridiculous here? Should professional athletes be carried out on a pillow while everyone tells them how great they are? These are the questions we're asking here.